What is a good life? There are many different types of people leading various types of life. We find in the Vedic view, everyone is subject to the influence of three different modes. These are the mode of ignorance, the mode of goodness, and the mode of passion. Without going into these presiding forces in detail, we can understand that people in these different modes are driven by different goals. For those in the mode of ignorance, life is about enjoying very stagnant pleasures, sleep being chief among these. For those in the mode of passion, there is a drive to become materially comforted, working in order to enjoy some sensual pleasure. Those in the mode of goodness value higher things, like spiritual knowledge. We're all subject to influences from all three of these modes, in a type of mixture. So a good life is dependent on what an individual loves most. In the spiritual sense, however, a good life is one lived in accordance with spiritual law. Let us remember that the spiritual laws operate regardless of our knowledge of them. In this sense, a person who is oblivious to the injunctions of Scripture may still be living according to those injunctions, simply because he does not love himself over others. It is most likely, however, that this person is something that has been learned, as we are all born with inherent evil tendencies to place ourselves before others, which we then have to work our way out of. One should know that to the extent he keeps evil out of himself, he is working for God. In fact, everyone is serving the Lord, but some are aware of it, whereas others aren't. However, one is still serving the Lord for good ends to the extent that he acts with evil out of himself. This evil is sin, that which keeps us from God. But it is not enough to simply ask God to remove all sin. What does this do if there is no recognition of the bad quality in ourselves by self-examination and an effort on our part to overcome this bad quality? As Swedenborg states in Divine Providence, quote, "They say, I am a sinner, I was born in sin. From head to foot there is nothing sound in me. I am nothing but evil. Good God, be gracious to me. Pardon, cleanse and save me. Make me walk in purity and in a right path." And more of the kind, and yet the man does not examine himself, and hence does not know any evil, and no one can shun what he is ignorant of, still less fight against it. After his confessions he also thinks that he is clean and washed, when nevertheless he is unclean and unwashed, from the head to the sole of the foot. For the confession of all sins is the lulling of them all to sleep, and finally blindness to them. It is like a generality devoid of anything specific, which amounts to nothing. End quote. So we see it is by thinking oneself pure that one comes to be blind of it. This is no different to someone who thinks he is better than everyone else for no apparent reason. It seems that the good life is one of constant self-improvement, ridding the self of bad qualities and drawing oneself nearer to God. Every day there is something new to learn and apply in one's life. No spiritual knowledge is really active in oneself until it is applied, united to good. We should not think ourselves spiritual if we are not actively trying to avoid evil. This is a constant effort running from the basic tenets of good conduct to moment observance of state and avoidance of thoughts and desires associated with bad qualities, like arrogance. This leads to a more joyful state of being and a type of freedom beyond its apparent constrictions. But one does not do it for its benefits. He does it because it is good and true, and ultimately because he wants to touch the divine. Such a person becomes liberated from the three modes of nature and fixed in the mode of pure goodness, and the only judge of the success of his life is the extent to which he loves God. As Krishna says in the Bhagavagita, "Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. What is the good life? We really have to understand the nature of good, and this is found in God. To really touch the essence of what is good, we must recognize what is not good in ourselves, and then rid ourselves of it by battling and overcoming it. Evaluate the sin and its destructive nature, and set about changing it. It is not that the Lord has no part in this process, for it is by Him that it is overcome in the end, even if it seemed to be by our own efforts. So are we engaging in the battle, or are we simply adhering to the status quo? It is always a question of relationship, and are we relating to the supreme essence of good when we aspire for the good life? Are we seeking the truth? For it is through the union of good and truth that we will shun the evil and false, soaring to the heights of love of God.